Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum friends. Today we are going to discuss about prototype model. The outline of the topic include firstly the introduction of the topic, then model design, phases, application, advantages and some disadvantages. First of all, the introduction. In this model, the developer and client interact to establish the requirements of the software, define the broad set of objectives. This is followed up by the quick design, in which the visible elements of the software, the input and the output, are designed. The quick design stresses the client's view of the software. The final product of the design is a prototype. The client evaluates the prototype and provides its recommendations and suggestions to the analyst. The process continues in an iterative manner until all the user requirements are met. What is software prototyping? Prototype is a working model of software with some limited functionality. The prototype does not always hold the exact logic used in the actual software application and is an extra effort to be considered under effort estimation. Prototyping is used to allow the user evaluate developer proposals and try them out before implementation. It also helps understand the requirements which are user specified and may not have been considered by the developer during product design. Software prototyping types. Throwaway rapid prototyping. Throwaway prototyping is also called a rapid or close-ended prototyping. This type of prototyping uses very little efforts with minimum requirements analysis to build a prototype. Once the actual requirements are understood, the prototype is discarded and the actual system is developed with a much clearer understanding of the user requirements. Evolutionary prototyping. Evolutionary prototyping, also called as breadboard prototyping, is based on building actual function prototypes with minimal functionality in the beginning. The prototype developed forms the herd of the future prototypes on top of which the entire system is built. By using evolutionary prototyping, the well understood requirements are included in the prototype and the requirements are added as and when they are understood. Incremental prototyping. Incremental prototyping refers to building multiple functional prototypes of the various subsystems and then integrating all the available prototypes to form a complete system. Then, extreme prototyping. Extreme prototyping is used in the web development domain. It consists of three sequential phases. First, a basic prototype with all the existing pages is presented in the HTML format. Then, the data processing is stimulated using a prototype services layer. Finally, the services are implemented and integrated to the final prototype. This process is called extreme prototyping, used to draw attention to the second phase of the process, where a fully functional UI is developed with very little regard to the actual service. Software prototyping application. Software prototyping is most useful in development of systems having high level of user interactions, such as online systems. Systems which need users to fill out forms or go through various screens before data is processed can use prototyping very effectively to give the exact look and feel even before the actual software is developed. Software that involves too much of the data processing and most of the functionality is internal with very little user interface does not usually benefit from prototyping. Prototype development could be an extra overhead in such projects and may need lot of extra efforts. Phases of prototyping model. The following sections examine two versions of the prototyping model. Version 1. Prototyping is used as a requirement technique. Version 2. Prototype is used as a specification or a major part thereof. Version 1. This approach, as illustrated in Fig on next slide, uses the prototype as a means of quickly determining the needs of the client. It is discarded once the specifications have been agreed on. The emphasis of the prototype is on representing those aspects of the software that will be visible to the client or user. Thus, it does not matter if the prototype hardly works. Note that if the first version of the prototype does not meet the client's need, then it must be rapidly converted into the second version. Version 2. In this approach, and illustrated in figure, the prototype is actually used as the specifications for the design phase. This advantage of this approach is speed and accuracy, as not time is spent on drawing up written specifications. The inherent difficulties associated with that phase are then avoided. Advantages of prototyping model. The following are the advantages of prototyping model. Due to interaction between the client and developer right from the beginning, the objectives and requirements of the software is well established, suitable for the project when client has not clear idea about his requirements. The client can provide its input during development of the prototype. The prototype serve as an aid for the development of the final product. Now here are some disadvantages of prototyping model. The prototyping model has the following disadvantages. The quality of the software development is compromised in the rush to prevent a working version of the software to the client. The client look at the working version of the product at the outset and expect the final version of the product to be delivered immediately. This causes additional pressure over the developers to adopt shortcut in order to meet the final product deadline. It becomes difficult for the programmer to convince the client as why the prototype has to be discarded. Problems to be tackled by prototyping. Customers' misconception, recompletion, communication, involvement, expectations, automation. Developers' wrong habits, not strict to misunderstanding, assumptions. Rules of the game are not defined at the beginning. Okay, friends, this is it for now. Thank you for watching this lecture and please also share what you have learned from today's lecture in the comment box. Allah Hafiz.